Welcome to the City Current Show, powered by Higginbotham Insurance and Financial Services.
This show focuses on sharing good news and powering the good in our community. Now here's your host, City Current CEO, Jeremy Park.
Welcome to the City Current Show, powered by Higginbotham. I'm your host, Jeremy Park. We're always honored to bring you inspiring stories of individuals and organizations making a difference and powering the good. And we always love talking about the power of literacy. That's why we're honored to have with us Jason Baker, Executive Director of Champions for Literacy. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. It's great to see you, Jeremy.
Well, when you talk about the power of sports and literacy, there's some great synergy there. So let's go ahead and start with some history and some background for Champions for Literacy.
Yeah. If you're watching or listening to this and you're in the Memphis area, and then you know Tiger basketball, and if you know Tiger basketball, you know the name Wilfong. So we are a Wilfong family-founded organization. So we've been around for 11 years. It's a great story that has now come full circle, and I can explain that a little bit more as we dive in. But John Wilfong, Tiger basketball great and legend, his son actually had the idea for our organization as a senior in high school. And 11 years later, several of us get to have great jobs because he was a high school senior that was willing to dream. And so their family got really passionate about literacy. And of course, they were a sports family. And they started to ask the brilliant question, what role could sports play in this space? And so now we're running exciting programs that answer that question.
When you look at the importance of focusing on literacy, hopefully everyone knows, because when you talk about literacy, you know, you can't have a job. It's hard to read a menu and order anything. I mean, literacy plays such an important role in success, personally, professionally. But talk about why focusing on literacy is so important.
Yeah, we a phrase that we use around our office a lot is that reading means life because reading is life. You know, as we think about, as you highlighted, the ways we have to interact with literacy throughout the day, they're often very under the surface. Many of us, part of our work is helping people pause and realize, oh, that is a skill in my toolkit that has landed me where I am today and that's contributing to my growth across a number of different areas in life, whether it's economic, spiritual, emotional, et cetera. And so, the importance of literacy. I mean, if you look at it as a cause, there are few, if any, causes that transcend economics in the way that literacy does. So if you are reading on grade level by the end of the third grade, and you come from a lower income community, there's an 89% chance that you graduate high school and go on to begin a career. If you come from a higher earning income community, that percentage is 90%. So you're talking about a statistical difference of little to nothing. And so adults who can read, only 4% of them live in poverty. So you talk about kind of the great equalizer and a cause that transcends economics. Literacy is incredibly powerful.
So let's go ahead and dive into the programs and how all the magic works. You have a number of different programs, so go ahead and start diving in.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what we do as an organization is driven by two basic beliefs: that reading is transformational, and we just touched on that, and that sports have this unique ability to rally communities around causes that really matter, either on the team side or the athletes. And so what we do flows directly out of our why, which is we provide opportunities for individual athletes and for sports teams at any level to impact this cause. And then corporate sponsors and brands can come alongside and really boost and catalyze the impact. And so if you think about our work at the teams level, we run a program called Fight for Literacy Games. And so we'll partner with about 100 college athletic teams across the country. And so they'll spotlight literacy orgs in their communities. International Paper is our presenting sponsor for that program. And so they will drive grants to reading programs and have a great celebratory reading moment for kids from reading programs at the games. And so everything we do is built on this idea of utilizing sports to resource programs that are moving the needle for kids and provide inspirational moments around reading for those same kids. So that's the team side. The individual athlete side, very excited about this program. We have a program called Impact Players, and that is working with athletes from 6th through 12th grade to harness their platform to drive resources throughout a sports season to reading programs local and to volunteer their time. And we set up kind of inspirational reading role model events for them to go and read to kids in 1st, 2nd, 3rd grade, do book signings, those kind of things. And so Yeah, the team side and the athlete side, the Impact Players program, specifically in Memphis, is growing a lot. So we worked with 6 athletes this year. Collectively, they'll raise close to $100,000 for reading programs in Memphis. So you're talking about eighth grade, ninth grade, 10th grade, young athletes. That program will at least double next year. And so this will really be our bread and butter in Memphis moving forward. And so we're working on the team side and the athlete side to build this unique story.
Talk about the feedback you're getting from the athletes, from the programs, because there's power as an athlete in having a higher purpose and using your platform to power the good. And that's exactly what you're doing, is you're empowering them to be able to make a difference in their community. And so talk about what sort of feedback you're getting from the teams and the individual players.
Yeah, absolutely. One, I think they're really grateful to know about the cause of literacy, and that's a real strength of our work, is saying, hey, even if an eighth grade volleyball player isn't involved in literacy for the rest of her life, she's going to be aware, right? And I do believe they'll stay tethered to this cause long term. And so part of the feedback we get is, I didn't know I could make a difference if I'm not Desmond Bane, right? The other part of the feedback we get is from the family perspective, is saying, hey, we're now aware of this cause, but you're also teaching our students, our student athletes, the foundational truths of generosity and purpose at a really young age. And so what I love about our work is there's this community benefit or boost, right, in the literacy space, as we help scale programs that are working for kids. There's also a service to the athlete in teaching generosity and purpose. And then our donors who fuel our work, they get to make both happen at the same time, which is pretty cool.
You mentioned Desmond Bane, and I know that he plays a role in this as well. So talk about working with Desmond Bane.
Yeah, that's a partnership that is newer for us, but clearly we're excited about it. You know, you forget he's 26. He's so impressive. So we have an annual event called Suits and Sneakers that we put on. We just did it at the end of September, so it'll be every September in Memphis, and then eventually we'll add it to other cities that we're involved with from an impact player standpoint. Really fun moment. Desmond came and presented an award to each of our young athlete impact players. And it was phenomenal. So we're looking forward to doing more with him. I mean, everything I heard about him leading up to the event was he was thoughtful, intentional, relational, and he has a lot of good people around him. And I think that's how you know who he is as a person, as a man, as a dad. And he was phenomenal. He was excited about what we're doing. He said he wanted his kids to become impact players when they grow up. So I won't let him forget that 13 years from now. And we'll get him in the program. But we were really humbled and honored to get to work with him. Yeah, it was a blast of an event, and we're looking forward to next year with him.
So you mentioned obviously other states, nationwide. Talk about working in other cities, other states.
Yeah, so on the team side of things, we're in about 50 communities, colleges and universities around the country to host men's and women's games, so about 100 this year. The Impact Players program has started in Memphis. The full circle moment is that Jonathan Wilfong, as a young athlete, as a senior, is like, hey, I want to impact this cause. Now we're providing a platform where dozens of young athletes can do that. So we wanted it to start here in Memphis. I mean, as you well know, Jeremy, Memphis is a city that's changed the world over and over again. And so we wanted to build it here and build the proof point story here and build a movement of young athletes who are impacting this cause. And then we want to take it elsewhere. So just a couple of weeks ago, we brought on our first 2 impact players in Dallas. So one is a top 5 golfer in the country, high school junior. And it's just Texas, right? Everything's kind of bigger and flashier. And then we just brought on a kid named Keelan Russell, who will be a quarterback at Alabama. He's a senior in high school this year, so we'll actually be launching his Impact Players campaign this week. And so we want to grow that program in Dallas and then take it to other cities.
This will carry us into vision and goals for the future, but talk about how the community can help, because obviously, sports programs, athletes, high school athletes, you're starting to paint the picture of all the different ways. And obviously, as you mentioned, the corporate catalysts and companies getting involved, just like International Paper. Go ahead and start talking about how the community can help.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're if you're a sports fan and you understand literacy at all, one, we'd love to connect with you. You're the type of folks who can fuel our work and continue to build something truly special. If you're a parent of a young student athlete, we'd love for them to join Impact Players. We've got slots available. Those are quickly filling up for next year. We do expect to be full next year and to grow that. But if you're looking for a great give back opportunity for your young athlete, then please reach out to us. On the corporate side, it's really fun. You've got a few different activation options. You can sponsor a Fight for Literacy game at a school or community of your choice and provide a really cool experience for your employees and for kids from a reading program. You can sponsor a table at Suits and Sneakers with Desmond Bane, or you can sponsor an Impact Players campaign if you want to add to their fundraising that they're doing during the year. And so, yeah, corporate gives us the opportunity to create some really unique stories and experiences.
What does it look like on the commitment side for the Impact Players? Like what all is involved with that commitment?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we take them through 4 modules as a part of the program. So the two things big picture they're committing to is to fundraise to meet a local literacy need in Memphis, Dallas, et cetera. So that's the resource side, and then to inspire, to at least do one volunteer opportunity around the powerful cause of literacy. And we help to facilitate and execute all of that. And so one of our strategic anchors is that we make it really easy for athletes because they're busy, right? And even in the 7th grade, they're trying to recover and use cryotherapy and all this stuff. So we want to make it really easy for them. And so if you just show up with that understanding and with a real desire, we work with amazing kids and families in the Impact Player space. And so as long as that desire is there to make a difference, we will help you get there. And so when they show up, we ask them to commit to those 2 things. As long as those can be a part of the equation, then they go through 4 modules. One is called Literacy 101 Memphis. And so it's a webinar that our team has put together. I always tell people we hire former athletes and teachers. Like that's our team, right? And so they'll go through a Literacy 101 and really learn about the cause and the landscape of literacy in Memphis. And then we have a very open, fluid conversation with their family about when they fundraise the money, it all goes into one pot and then we split it out. But when they volunteer their time, they get to learn Literacy 101. We kind of ask them, like, what did you see? What did you hear? Where would you like to volunteer? And then we help them stand up their campaign and we help with pre-written fundraising emails. And, we kind of email them at the end of the campaign and say, here's your donor thank you notes, send these out. And so the soft skills and the hard skills of running a campaign and all that, we make it really easy for them. But that's kind of how we walk them through that. But what we ask is that you fundraise according to how much you can fundraise and set your goal, and then show up and inspire some kids.
So talking about their goals, now talk about your goals. When you look at 2025, building for the future beyond, what are some of your goals and objectives?
Yeah, absolutely. So 3 primary ones. One, we want to grow sponsorships around the Fight for Literacy games. I mean, it's a really great activation for corporate. 2, we want to grow the Memphis Impact Players program. So like I mentioned, it's grown 400% this year. It'll double again next year. We'll work with somewhere between 12 and 15 athletes, different sports, races, genders, schools. We want to grow that to 35 to 40 athletes in the city of Memphis, a movement of young athletes impacting literacy in a really neat way. And then we want to continue to build the Dallas story and let the Dallas story follow Memphis. And I should say too, so our founder, Jonathan Wilfong, now lives in Dallas and has worked there, went to SMU, played basketball for Larry Brown. So we have a couple board members in Dallas, and that's why that's our next move. But yeah, we want to grow those 2 programs and again, start with Memphis and build this proof point story.
Outside of the Desmond Bane experience and all the interactions that you have a chance to have in your role, how has all of this changed your perspective on sports being able to be a platform that can impact literacy, but ultimately transform lives?
Yeah, really good question. I'll say first, Jeremy, I now have way too many sports allegiances that I can keep up with. And right, it's like, why am I score watching this game, in the middle of nowhere? It's because it's like I met a couple athletes there that were really game changers, right? And took it really seriously when they went to read to kids. So I think what I've learned about sports and what I've been reminded of is this is an era where things like NIL and all those things are very important, right? And so I think we need these stories that live under the surface that are where NIL and these kind of things are really involved, where athletes are really using their platform to make a difference. I've also been reminded that the majority of athletes are not going to play in the pros. And so what we want to do, but they will be based on the skills I hope that we're helping play a small role in developing. They're going to be business leaders and they're going to run foundations. And so what I'm reminded of is like there is life after sports at some point. And so we want to be a part of, kind of what their story looks like. And for some athletes, I want them to know like CFL is here as a part of their support team after sports and as mentors and those kind of things. So yeah, it's been a fun space to be in. I went to John Wilfong's camp when I was 10 years old. And so this is kind of a fun full circle story too. And sports and reading are really kind of who I am as a person. And so this role is a real blessing and it's been a great fit.
We'll wrap up with where we can go to get involved and learn more about Champions for Literacy.
Yeah, so visit us at championsforlit.org. So it's our website. You can find my contact information directly on there. And then we're on all the socials at Champions for Lit as well. So look us up and we'd love to connect.
Well, Jason, thank you for all you and your amazing team do to power the good. Thank you for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks, Jeremy. Appreciate it.
Higginbotham Insurance and Financial Services is proud to power the City Current Show. We're a people-first company that protects what matters most, the families, businesses, and trailblazers that keep our community going. As one of the nation's top independent insurance firms, Higginbotham is a single-source solution for business insurance, employee benefits, HR services, and personal insurance that's customized for you. We're here to serve you, the people you care about, and your community. Call 866-377-1959 or visit higginbotham.com.